Hi everyone. This is Anton from QuickTiles and we're starting the 7th lesson of the mini course. Today we're going to talk about the 5th and 6th sections of the main interface, and the first one is the settings for Bitmap-in-container. This section doesn't include a lot of aspects, but they're all very important. Two of the first parameters are interconnected. The position determines the original bitmap's position within a container. The stretch feature stretches a tile along the container's height and width and deforms it. The crop feature is set by default. In this case, the plugin scales your tile by its short side while saving its proportions. This way, an original tile can turn out longer or shorter than the container. The cropping feature controls how the plugin crops a tile that didn't fit into the container. The sides option crops a tile's sides. Use this option if you don't care for keeping the original gaps. The center option duplicates a tile, sets the original bitmap's copies to the left and right sides of the container, and then mixes them together in the center. This way the original gaps are saved and the tile's proportions aren't changed. The crop center option is the absolute know-how of our plugin, and it's set by default. Thanks to this, the plugin will automatically adjust the size of the source tiles to containers of any size. The next important parameter is the use aspect groups. When enabled, the plugin will automatically set only the original tiles into the containers with the same aspect ratio. This is useful when your pattern and original texture have many different sized tiles and you want to arrange them accordingly. The random mirror H and V parameters create a random display of tiles horizontally and vertically. These are enabled by default. Random rotation sets a maximum angle of random rotation of a texture within a container. The feature is relevant when the plane texture function is enabled. Watch the third lesson for more info. The scale sets a bitmap scale within a container. It's also used along with plane texture or a mask that removes original gaps. You'll learn about the mask in the procedural gaps section that we're now moving on to. Here, we can manage the procedural gaps parameters. In the top part, you can find the maps and base color settings, as well as options for mixing them. Using pickers, you can pick a solid color for any channel. Next to these, you can find a button for uploading a texture. The drag and drop also works here. The numeral value manages the texture's opacity towards the solid color. The scale parameter scales the background texture. The gap shape section parameters only work with enabled procedural gaps. The side height parameter sets the height of a gap side. Center height, the height of the gap center. Pinch/bubble changes the shape of the gap's curve. On your right, you can see an interactive preview section. A gap's shape is only generated for larger size textures. So, if the gaps aren't displayed while rendering, you need to increase the texture's resolutions or the gap's width. A gap's shape is only created in the bump, normal, and displacement channels. When generating large patches, a gap's shape may not be displayed in the interactive preview since it's always generated in small resolutions. Everything will be alright while rendering. When setting a gap's shape, note that the number 1 means white color and the negative 1 is black. That said, the original tile's displacement color is usually set within a medium brightness range. To avoid showing artifacts on the edge of a tile and a gap, lean towards what the displacement channel looks like. The use mask parameter enables cropping original gaps within the mask. The feature is very useful when you want to change the gap's texture. To use it, you need a black-white mask for each set of original tiles. Tiles must be white, while gaps are black. And so, we're done with the 7th lesson of the mini course. Hope you found it interesting. That was Anton from QuickTiles. Talk to you soon.